Yena Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jayatam Srutopangor Mama Mandar Matergate Matsarvasya Padam Bhoja Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanastho Shri Shri Radha Shila Govindevo Prishta Libhi Sevya Manosmarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambhi Vamsi Vata Tata Sthita Karshan Venu Swanir Gopir Gopinatha Shristunaha Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Nara Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, and unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasapraeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate utamashloke bhaktir bhavati naistake. Shinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridaya Antostohya Bhadrani Vidhunoti Surit Satam. So today's verse is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, the status quo, Chapter 6, Creation of the Universal Form, Text 32. Vishwavartanta tasyorvor loka vriti karir vibhu Vaishyastad udbhavavartam rinamya samavartayat. So I'll repeat it one more time. Vishwavartanta tasyorvor loka vriti karir vibhu Vaishyastad udbhavavartam rinamya samavartayat. Is there anybody who would like to repeat? Bhakta Muga, would you like to try?
Oh, yes, Mataji. I can try.
Okay.
Vishovatanta Silvo Lokavrikari Biho Vishyatad Ubhavo Vartam Namamya Samavartayas.
Very good. Very nice. Thank you. I'll go straight to the translation. The means of livelihood of all persons, namely production of grains and the distribution to the prajas, was generated from the thighs of the Lord's gigantic form. The mercantile men who take charge of such execution are called Vaishyas. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Human society's means of living is clearly mentioned here as visha or agriculture, and the business of distributing agricultural products, which involves transport, banking, etc. Industry is an artificial means of livelihood, and large-scale industry especially is the source of all the problems of society. In Bhagavad Gita, also the duties of the Vaishyas who are engaged in Visha are stated as cow protection, agriculture, and business. We've already discussed that the human being can safely depend on the cow and agricultural land for his livelihood. The exchange of produce by banking and transportation is a branch of this type of living. The Vaishyas are divided into many subsections. Some of them are called Kshetri or landowners. Some are called Krushan, Krushana or land tillers. Some of them are called Tilavanik or grain raisers. Some are called Gandhavanik or merchants in spices, and some are called Suvarnavanik or merchants in gold and banking. The Brahmanas are the teachers and spiritual masters. The Kshatriyas protect the citizens from the hands of thieves and miscreants. And the Vaishyas are in charge of production and distribution. The Sudras, the unintelligent class of men who cannot act independently in any of the above mentioned activities, are meant for serving the three higher classes for their livelihood. Formerly, the Brahmanas were given all the necessities of life by the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas because they had no time to spend making a living. The Kshatriyas would collect taxes from the Vaishyas and Sudras, but the Brahmanas were exempt from paying income tax or land revenue. That system of human society was so nice that there was no political, social, or economic upheavals. The different castes or varna classifications are therefore essential for maintaining a peaceful human society. What a beautiful verse. 1 second. Okay. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that the means of livelihood is given here, very clear, very simply. It's so simple. And that agriculture, cow protection, transport of agricultural products, and distribution of this produce to praja. Praja meaning all living entities, not just human beings. So this distribution of food, in that animals were taken care of also, cows, goats, dogs, whatever. All elephants, all animals were taken care of. It wasn't just the human beings or just the cows. Then Srila Prabhupada makes a strong statement that large-scale industries is a source of all problems of life. And then towards the end of the purport, he's saying, is this large-scale industry, this industrial revolution, typical of the Iron Age, brings so much upheaval socially, economically, and politically. This is very interesting when Srila Prabhupada went to Mauritius. Mauritius being a simple country, simple island, he managed to make contact with, I think, a minister or something like that. And he sat with him for quite some time. And Srila Prabhupada went through the whole explanation. I think he sat with him for a good number of hours, and he explained to him, because Mauritius, I think, was producing sugarcane at that time. Every country that was under the British rule was producing something or another for the, large-scale production of some sort of crop. and Mauritius was producing a lot of sugarcane. And Srila Prabhupada explained to him this large-scale monocropping is going to has such a destructive element to it in terms of just ripping the earth of its nutrients and then having to sell this, having to export at a very low price, and then having to buy the end product, having to import the end product, sugar, It just didn't make any sense. And how much more use of artificial controlling chemicals and pesticides and fertilizers is used in monocropping, large scale monocropping. And he really encouraged the minister to propagate the original way of farming, where you just had your little piece of land and you grew a variety of crops, and this local selling and barter trade, and he just encouraged him to keep it very, very simple. I don't think obviously it followed, but the point is that it meant a lot to Srila Prabhupada, and he I know I can speak from my own experience. We're here in Kajiado, we're farmers, large scale monocropping. We do French beans and some cabbage, and it's just crazy the amount of, because you just, yeah, we do some rotation, but pretty much, we're just growing the same crop, and how much literally the soil is just completely exhausted of its nutrients, and then we have to keep adding fertilizers and pesticides and more chemicals, and it's so destructive. It's so destructive. So the purpose of work today is motivated by greed and sense enjoyment. And so that it doesn't matter whether work is destructive to nature, society, spiritual life, to relationships. It doesn't really matter, because that's not the motive. The motive is this greed and sense enjoyment, and let me make as much money as I can. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 9, says, Etam drishtim avastabhya nastatmano ipabuddhaya prabhavanti ugra karmana shayaya jagatohita. Demonic persons who are lost to themselves and have no intelligence engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. And we can already see that now, 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, and we can completely see it. This today is considered advancement. But people are more disconnected with themselves than ever before. Human beings are more disconnected with other human beings than ever before, more disconnected with nature and just the natural cycle of life, the natural cycle of the moon, of the rainy season, of the seasons, of this, completely disconnected. And what is the result of this disconnection? That people just become so self-centered, so self-indulgent, so selfish, They don't have, we don't have the capacity anymore to put anybody else in the center but ourselves. And the result is more violence, more cheating, more depression, more anxiety, more of these more mental health issues all over the world, all over the world. It's not just USA and the West, it's even Kenya has a high rate of depression, because the lifestyle is such. The lifestyle is such, And this is so exploitative in nature. Ugra karma, industrialization, slaughterhouses, chemical warfare, pollution. We exploit, doesn't matter. Exploit the earth, it doesn't matter. as long as I make a profit, as long as I make a profit. Here in Kajiado, Isinia area, there are lots of flower farms, loads of flower farms. Even my family, they they own flower farms, and one flower farm uses 11,000 liters of water a day. 11,000 liters of water a day to get one strong, to get those hybrid roses. And what is the result? There's lack of water. Senior is already, a completely semi-arid region, always short of water, always short of water. Because if one farm is utilizing this much amount of water, and there are like hundreds of flower farms around here, but because it's all about me making profit. I don't have to think about Mother Earth. I don't have to think about anybody else. I'm here to make profit. So it's so exploitative in nature. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.840. In this age, people in general will exploit the resources of the earth without any consideration. And thus, the result is going to be that there'll be scarcity of food, destruction of life, and disturbance of peace. Of course, of course. How are people going to be peaceful when we are treating Mother Earth like this? How she's holding back completely. She's not going to give. Why would she give? Why? Because we're punching her, we're kicking her, we're exploiting her, we're harming her, we're not thinking. So what, obviously, she's just going to completely hold back. There's so many problems come from this industrialization, unemployment, or people just crowded in cities looking for employment. Working conditions are so bad, living conditions are so ugly. We're cramped in small houses, and again, it's not just Kenya. Look at Japan. Look at how small those houses in China and Japan are. Expenses rising, taxes rising, and people are just so on the edge all the time, stuck in traffic 2 hours. They come home, there's no ready meal, nothing. They just take something out of the freezer, bung it in the microwave, and that's what they eat. Or there's nothing like cooking at home. They just eat out. I mean, in the future, they're going to build houses without kitchens because nobody is going to be cooking at home. And we understand the importance of consciousness in food. So that's just going to be out of the window. And one of the biggest problems we are facing with this large-scale industries is waste. Old is not gold anymore. Everything is intentionally made to last as short a while as it can. Today, global waste statistics are showing is 2.12 billion tons of waste a year. That's an insanely huge amount of waste. 2.12 billion tons of waste a year. And they explain, to give us a graphic picture, if all this waste was put in trucks, those trucks would go around the earth something like 22 times. And that's our wastage per year. That's our wastage per year. And then plastic and e-waste is not biodegradable. The first plastic ever to be produced is still lying on Earth. It takes years and years, hundreds, maybe we don't even know how many years it takes plastic to finally degrade and mix with Earth. We're facing severe problems. We all know that chemicals, heavy metals, asbestos, All these things take too long to break. And now it's getting into our food chain, microplastic from seas into the sea salt that we use. Everything that is made to, you know, be discarded within 3 to 6 months. How much waste, how much waste. Like I said, mentioned we grow French beans now and we export them to Europe. They're so particular. The French beans is perfect, nothing wrong. But if it is the wrong shape, if it's just a little bit more curved, that's wasted. That's rejected. If it has a little wind mark, it's reject. If we have a ruler, we measure, it has this holes, different sizes. If it is a bit thicker, rejected. So do you know how much of perfectly fine edible French beans is rejected every day when we're grading? 30%. 30% of perfectly fine, no problem. No, nothing like eaten by pests or disease, nothing like that. Just shape, color, size, 30%. 30% is wasted. At a time when people are starving, when people have no food to eat. It's just, it's, it's really actually, it's madness. And even locally, we grew cabbage for the local market, and when the demand is too high, the people we have contracted with, they just won't come and harvest. So fields and fields of cabbages just left there, not harvested. I mean, eventually I put my foot down and said, "This, I cannot do this. You have to come and harvest, or come and harvest, and we go and give to some charity homes. This is completely unacceptable, you know." But this is what happens. Large scale farming. And then this advertising. Now comes the whole aspect of advertising and marketing. And it just simply creates this false demand in our minds. We're convinced that we need this product. Yeah, we absolutely need this product. And then huge amounts are wasted. Amazon, we all know Amazon. Amazon has huge warehouses where they store products that were bought and paid for, but just not collected from the collection points. And they have huge warehouses because they don't know what to do with this. And then I think they have to, as by law, they have to keep it for some months. And then I think they resell it at very low prices or something. So it's just this consumer society, shop till you drop. It's a shopaholic. It's and this is and then we call this advancement. So much waste. And then the thing is that because everybody is just profit centered, what's in it for me? Nobody is thinking about proper waste management. Nobody is bothered. Where will this waste go? And it is saying already 1/3 of the Earth's resources are already depleted. And then now how to dispose of this waste? So what they do is they rebrand these toxic materials. Stuff that is banned in Europe is rebranded for the third world countries, underdeveloped countries like India, like Kenya. A lot of medicines come into our country like that. Medicines that you'll find is completely not allowed in the West, and yet it's being sold here or in India. Chemicals, same chemicals, fertilizers. A lot of the chemicals and fertilizers that local farmers use here are completely banned. In Europe, America has no ethics at all, but at least Europe and Germany and these countries have some kind of standards. Completely banned in these countries. But now what they're producing, so they'll rebrand it and send it to, underdeveloped countries. Now, if developed countries don't have a proper system of waste management, how are they expecting underdeveloped countries? to have a proper system of waste management. You know, it says countries like, what they also do is that when they have these, their ships are old and they don't know what to do with anymore, they fill these ships up with all these toxic materials and then send it off. And then it just is like Bangladesh is known. And they say if you go to Bangladesh, there's tons and tons of asbestos and chemical waste, and just ships and ships just near the harbor with all this chemical waste, or dumped in rivers, lakes, and oceans. And it's obviously affecting the aquatics, the microplastics. I mean, wow, we can just go on and on and on and on. In India, sometimes the cows on the streets, how much plastic they consume. They just smell food. They don't know that the food is inside the plastic from the bins and stuff. And then sometimes when they operate on the cow, and it's like kilos and kilos of plastic come out from their stomach. And after the operation, maybe they survive, maybe they don't. So everything is polluted. The air is polluted, the water is polluted, the soil is polluted. And we call this advancement. How is this advancement? How is anybody going to be happy and peaceful? It is this a complete direct correlation between how we're treating Mother Earth to how we're going to feel in return. There's absolutely a direct correlation. And in the bigger picture is this Ugra karma leads to entanglement in the cycle of birth and death, and it keeps us bound to material desires because there's no way out. This consumerism, this consumer society, more and more and more and more and more, and then this desire, that desire. I've had this phone for 4 years, and now I need a new phone, and I have had this car for 6 years. I need a new car, I need a new house, I need a new wife, I need it's just the mentality of change, 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 change. And so this desires just keep increasing, the desire. And what happens at the time of death? At the time of death, all our desires, go with the subtle body to the next body. Mind, intelligence, ego, desires and karma go with the mind, intelligence, and the ego to the next body. So this entanglement, and then it just becomes like a completely vicious cycle. It's complete chaos. Bhagavad Gita 3:9. Yagnarthat karmano nyatra lokayam karma bandhana tad artham karma konte mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you'll always remain free from bondage. So work has to be done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Word sacrifice means understanding this principle that we are not the enjoyers and the controllers. Krishna is. And we act to satisfy his senses. That is our work. That's our job description. And if we do that, then we will be happy. We will find peace. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, anything outside of that is going to cause bondage. And hence, this chaos, so much unrest, unemployment, anxiety, wars, global crisis. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12. In Kali Yuga, men will devote themselves to earning money even by foul means. Their occupations will be unjust, and people will live in constant fear of scarcity, taxation, and violence. And here we are, voila. We all experience this. We're all going through this. This is why there's so much suffering. Everything is on the increase. crime, suicide rates, divorces, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, addiction. I was shocked. I was shocked. I was on YouTube, just, going through one reel after another. Anyway, something, uh, there is an organization in Canada. It's called MAID, MAID. And my God, this stands for Medical Assistance in Dying. So it has reached to this extent when somebody wants to die or wants to commit suicide, there is an organization in Canada that will help you do that. This is 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. Can you believe there is an organization that exists that's going to help you die? It's how topsy-turvy has society already become. Keshav Maharaj, in one of his classes, heard a few months ago, or was it in person? I can't remember. But he said over the next 10 years, the most lucrative business is going to be rehabilitation. Means, there's institutions that help people overcome addictions. The most lucrative business is going to be rehabilitation. So that means this addictions are so much on the rise, so much on the rise. And there's another purport, I can't remember, but I don't have the canto number or whatever. But Srila Prabhupada mentions that this modern civilization, this artificial civilization, and very important, deteriorates the finest sentiments and instincts of human beings. This modern civilization and artificial civilization deteriorates the finer sentiments and instincts of human beings. And what are these finer sentiments? Love, care, such human values over money, prestige, fame, and power. Finer instincts where you have time, space to think higher, deeper about spiritual matter. Simple living, high thinking. No, 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 no. It's high living and very simple thinking. No thinking now. With AI, why think? Everything is there. Just type it, the answer is there. So, this is why society requires a class of people who are the intelligent class. Society requires a brain who know the design of this world and who know how to live in it. And this is Varnashram system. And the purpose of work of Varnashram system is that every Varna, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra works according to their swabhav, according to their nature, to their natural qualities, to please the Supreme Lord. Okay, you have Brahminical tendencies, then do Brahminical work. You have more administrative, more Kshatriya type of nature, fine, do that, you know. And Srimad Bhagavatam, far better to discharge your prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties done perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. The thing is, today nobody really knows what their swabhav is, what their varna is, because we are not trained from the very beginning. We're not like, okay, your nature is this, you go into this, your nature is this, you go into this. No, we're all sent into kind of like a similar educational system where basically Srila Prabhupada says we're just trained to become Sudras, to go and work for somebody else. But here, you do your duty to please the Supreme Lord, then you'll be happy, because then you're acting according to your nature. Then work is not work, you know Like they say, if you love what you do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. It is a simplified version of Varnashram system. Because the only time you're going to love what you do is when you're doing something according to your nature, when you are in your element. No, but there's no training, there's no way, there's no before. um, when a child was born, straight away the chart was done, the astrological chart was done, and the parents were told, this is this is the nature of the child. He will be more towards this, and the parents knew. I mean, in Vedic culture, if you are a Brahmana, chances that your children would have Brahminical qualities. That was there also. If you are a Kshatriya, chances that you're born into a Kshatriya family, chances were that more than likely you would be a Kshatriya as well. But it wasn't given, it wasn't written in stone. So hence that the birth chart was done immediately, and they knew the propensity of the child, and it was really helpful. It was like a lifelong guide. Who knows today? Who knows? We first of all struggle. We don't find ourselves until we're in our 30s or 40s, is when we realize, oh, actually this is who I am. Half of the life is gone just finding who discovering ourselves, because there's no system. Varnashram system is sustainable, natural, self-sufficient living. Vaishyas cultivate land, protect cows, and maintain balance with nature. Balance with nature. Who even thinks today about balance with nature? City living is so disconnected, so disconnected. Something, I was just reading the other day, something as simple as hearing the chirping of the birds in the morning, and it kind of like just releases happy hormones in your brain. Just hearing the chirping of the birds in the morning releases happy hormones in the brain. Biologically, it is said that plants and trees, they stop breathing at night. The holes, the pores, the stomata close at night. And do you know what opens the stomata in the morning? Is the chirping of the birds. So this is the balance. Everybody, every animal, everything has a role to play. Who is thinking like this anymore? Sure. So again, farming, cow protection, business are the natural work of the Vaishyas, and for the Sudras is labor and service to others. Again, Bhagavad Gita 8:44. Varnashram system was based on spiritual goals. It was designed to gradually elevate one to pure devotion to Krishna. So there was a very strong spiritual goal. Because in Bhagavad Gita 18:45, by performing his own duty, one worships the Lord. By performing your duty according to your swabhav, according to your nature, being in your element, you worship the Lord, by whose arrangement all living beings exist. And this is called harmony. Each person knows their role. Society runs in harmony. Dharma is upheld. So simple. And it's like Vaishyas, they used to work 3 to 6 months of the year. Planting the seeds, sowing the seed, to harvesting took 3 to 6 months. And then obviously they would dry the grain, store the grain, sell the grain. Okay, they kept growing their vegetables and stuff. But it says the rest of the year, they just focused on their spiritual life, going on pilgrimage, this, that, hearing Katha, Ramayana, Mahabharat. It's like, how wonderful, how wonderful. This is absolutely stunning example. Dinabandhu Prabhu from Vrindavan, he gives, it stayed with me for I think 20 years now. I must have heard this probably 20 years ago. He said that about 30, maybe 40 years ago, they went to, I think it was Ayodhya, Lord Ram's place. And I don't know if you've been, whoever's been to Vrindavan, there's little alleyways, and houses on both sides, very, very small alleyways for people to walk through. And it was evening time, and Dinabandhu Prabhu and some devotees were walking through these alleyways, and no electricity back then. So everybody, the whole family, the whole extended family was huddled together in one room where maybe they had a kerosene lamp or something. And the elder of the family was reciting Ramayana, or they were reading Ramayana. Every house was like that. No electricity. Everyone was either Ramayana or Mahabharata or something spiritual. Coincidentally, he went to Ayodhya again about 30, 40 years later, and he found himself walking those alleyways again. And now what? This time there's electricity. What is everybody doing? Everybody's watching TV. Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga. So this completely natural, balanced way of life, this Kali Yuga is clever. You know, there was zero waste. That culture was zero waste. There was no waste. Everything was biodegradable, reused, recycled. Everything, everything. This is a funny example, but I remember, I remember I had a dress then, and I used to love it. Then it tore. Then the next thing I saw it as being used in the kitchen to wipe everything. And I used to think, oh, my poor dress. And then from there, after a while, I used to see it being used to mop the floor, right? Then it deteriorates more and more. And then the last thing was all these old pieces of cloth was sewn together to make a mat outside the door. There was, this was culture. There was no waste. And today, one thing gets done with that, and we go and buy something else. It was just, you know, just see how simple and sweet this culture was, to the point where everything is used until it cannot be used. And then probably, I don't know if it was used for God knows what, probably something else. So everything was grounded, was steady. Relationships were based on respect and service, not just what's in it for me. So this Varnashram system is Krishna's design. And because it's Krishna's design, it's perfect. It was based on respect, service, values, and love. Relationships were valued over assets and money. The common thread was charity, austerity, and sacrifice. So, what now? We come to ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada, especially in his later years towards the end, he was very, very, very concerned about introducing and establishing Varnashram system. And towards the end, he also said only 50% of my work is done. The other 50% is establishing Varnashram system. My personal take in ISKCON is that we still have a very long way to go to establish Varnashram system because of primarily two things: because of lack of unity, and everyone in the movement wants to be a Brahmana. Farming, even if it's a small piece of land, and looking after a cow is hard work. You have to get your hands dirty. Nobody wants to do that anymore. And we can see Kenya is an agricultural country. Who wants to farm anymore? Everybody would rather live in the city and work and live in these horrible conditions and earn money. Yeah, there's so many challenges, of course. Farming has so many challenges, Nobody wants to. So then what? I think this is my very personal take on it, is that there is hope. I think purity is yet to come in terms of two things where I feel time will help is the Gurukul system in ISKCON and Varnashram system. maybe in the next 3 or 4 generations, these things will come up, and I hope they do. So in the meantime, what do we do? What do we do? We adopt the principles, relationships over money and material assets, service. And what does relationships mean? Relationships are based around service. Service, service. At any moment, at any given time, how can I serve? How can I serve this person? How can I serve the situation to please Krishna? That's one. Relationships over matter based on service, and then simplifying life. One way or another. Fine, you're living in the city. Yes, you have to go work. Yes, you have to earn money. Yes, you have to associate with non-devotees. Yes, as devotees, we're literally going against the grains of the sun. But somehow or another, simplify your life. Simplify your life. We need food, we need shelter, we need clothing, but we have made it so complicated for ourselves. Simplify your life. Same, service based. How can I elevate this? Anybody you meet. And it just doesn't have to be giving Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said, example is the best preaching. And this goes a long, long, long way. I was just listening to a class by Urmila Mataji yesterday. I think Urmila Mataji is one of the most intelligent women in our society today. And she was saying when she joined, and she came from a very educated, well-to-do background. So when she joined the ashram, then after some time, her parents were coming to meet her, and Srila Prabhupada was there. So there's Srila Prabhupada sitting very relaxed. There's Urmila Mataji's parents, educated, well, professionals, and there's Urmila Mataji herself. And then, what did it say? That we have something, and they said, well, we haven't come here for Krishna. We have come here to see our daughter. And then Srila Prabhupada says, well, you love your daughter, and your daughter's husband, they love Krishna. So it is the same thing. It equals, and it becomes the same thing, you know? And then Urmila Mataji said, if we just try and love people, be kind to people, and we try and love Krishna, then we're bringing the two together. You just doesn't have to be that you also have to give philosophy or prasad. Yes, of course, the holy name, of course. But even just being a good example of a good human being can go a very, very, very long way. Example is the best preaching. So, this basic human values. We're living in a city, most of us are, um, you know, then take up some kind of preaching or support preaching in any way that you can. And then other than that, we actually have no business living in the city. Attach yourself one way or another to the Sankirtan mission. And at least then there's some use to us living in the city. Otherwise it's better to go and live in Vrindavan or Mayapur, because it's so hard then, so hard, Krishna. If you're not attached to the Sankirtan mission one way or another, this is really hard. Spiritual life becomes really hard. Yes, you're chanting. Yes, you're reading. Yes, you're associating with devotees. But all this hearing and chanting that you're absorbing, then has to be shared out of love and to please Krishna. Then we're making the best of this horrible, rotten bargain that we are in. We're neither here nor there. Varnashram is lost, this is lost, this is lost. ISKCON is trying. But the farming communities in ISKCON are struggling because it's hard work. It's sheer hard work. Nobody is dissatisfied with basic basic clothing and food and shelter. Everybody wants an iPhone. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants this. Everybody wants this. Even in the devotee community. But there's hope purity will come. But until then, I feel this is our hope. Chant, read Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishwasmaranam, and then go share it with other people. And then we're making the best of a very horrible bargain. So I'll end my class here. There's a lot of information. But yeah, if there are any questions, any comments, any corrections, any additions, please feel free.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much for that really profound class on discourse. So many realizations, and really you've relating with work that we are in terms of we are already 5,000 into Kali Yuga. And until you point out some things like microplastics pollution, we sometimes, I don't know, we see the problems and then just gets over our head and we act like everything is normal and continue the consumerism mentality into this. Yeah, and it's something that should really haunt every single human. Because when we have always checked with reality, even in the hospital, let's see, I see so many patients come with their own different reactions.
Yes.
But still, it fails to hit us that there's some redemption somewhere to stop this. Yeah.
It's amazing, and we're all guilty of it, because it's a global problem. It's not an individual problem, we can all individually do something in our homes, in the way we live life, Like I have a zero waste policy for my fridge. I just like make sure nothing is wasted, If prepared is always distributed to the cleaning people, the gardener, whatever, and after that, then we have animals, and then we have dogs, and nothing goes into the bin. Okay, that's one person doing some. Everybody's, in one sense, everybody's trying to do their bit, but in terms of plastic and waste management, this becomes a global issue. So, and we're in it. And you also, the largest picture is that Kali Yuga is going to advance no matter what, So these things, yes, there will be some improvement, this, that, but ultimately it is Kali Yuga, and Kali Yuga is going to advance. So that doesn't mean we become laid back. I asked this question one time, what does it mean that within the Kali Yuga there'll be a 10,000-year golden period, and the golden period has already started? And this devotee, in my head, and I was young then, it was like gardens and flowers and beautiful roads and beautiful gardens and like a beautiful life, And this devotee explained, golden age within Kali Yuga means that there will be an opportunity to attend the morning program in every major city of the world, and then the smaller cities as well. And that was his answer. So basically, the opportunity to take up spiritual life. And truly, that's the best thing we can do, because ultimately it is the holy name which will purify the heart. And once the heart is purified, then we can do something about the external purification. It's inside out. It's not outside in. But by and large, it is a global problem. But I think also ISKCON as an institution, as it's a big, powerful organization, could be doing a lot more. could be doing a lot more. But I feel in the future all these things will happen. We will become more integrated in the society and community. I mean, in Nairobi, we're really taking steps to just become more part of the community, more part of other organizations, because it is so much needed. We can't be so boastful and think we're exclusive. Yes, we're exclusive in our philosophy and what we have to offer, and that makes it all the more reason why we need to integrate with society to so make this more available to everyone. Can't just be completely exclusive. So I'm really liking the new management in Nairobi that is taking real steps to just becoming more inclusive. And the more we would do that, the more we become integrated with other organizations, maybe then in terms of environment, we'll be able to do something as well. That's the hope anyway. Because ultimately it's Mother Earth, so we should try. We should try. We can't just ignore like, oh yeah, just chant the holy name. Well, chant the holy name and do something about it. That's again, that's my take. But not that we become obsessed and possessed over it, but we do something if we have the capacity to do something. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So
Hare Krishna.
beautiful. Yes, so wonderfully explained everything which bothers us all the time. Myself and my mom in India. I am here in Canada, but every time we call, my mom is always worried about how much plastic is there on the, like how much wastage is coming from other countries to India as well, because it's, oh my goodness, this topic is always, we always talk about it. And
Yeah.
yes, it's so bothering. And as you said, as ISKCON, intelligent people, something can be done to the society, like we can do something in the
Yeah.
society. But yes, it's not an easy task at the same time. It's so many ignorant people around us. It is hard to be intelligent also. I feel like sometimes it's hard to be, it's easy to be ignorant. Ignorance is bliss. So
Yeah.
it's easy to be that way, but at the same time when you're seeing all these things, and it's really bothersome. Yes,
Yes.
Mataji. We also, our garbage bin is zero garbage in our house. Like people ask us, what? How come you have nothing? That too, just the few garbage which we bring the vegetables in, like tomatoes or any vegetables which we bring. That's it. Those plastic bags. That too, in a month maybe a small bag of garbage will go out. Otherwise, everything is just compost. So
Oh, wow.
people, my neighbors all are surprised. How come your garbage is so less? I'm like, we
Wow.
have to save this earth, and they don't even understand what I'm talking. It is like just going on their brain, like they don't understand. So yes, Mataji, yes, it is. It was a very serious topic today, and also we have to think of all this, like Mother Earth. At
Yeah.
one time, Mother Earth went to Krishna and she cried like everybody, the demons were doing. Now she will go and cry that humans have done
Yeah.
this to me.
Everybody, yes, yes.
Yes.
It's
So I
very
don't know. But very nice class, Mataji. Eye-opening for everyone. I wish a lot of people will understand and they get better. Mainly, I was thinking when your class was going on, how to teach the little kids, they need to understand. The peer pressure is so much. The parents also don't understand. Little scratch on the car, go get a new car. Little scratch on the phone, go get a new phone. Little this thing on the something, go get a new thing. Oh my goodness, it's just unbelievable and non-stop new nonsense happening. So
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And
yeah,
thank you. Wow.
thank you.
Zero waste, zero garbage policy. That's amazing, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. No, no, we have to thank the earth, and yeah, we will try our best. Like
Mm,
even clothes as well, like unnecessarily, why are we buying so much clothing? And I don't know. Yeah, it's just bothersome. Yes.
it's
Anyways,
so
so that
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I
Yes,
mean, there was a few years ago, Modi did ban plastic in India, isn't it?
yes,
I
yes, yes, Mataji. I have heard that my mom was very happy that they banned now plastic bags and people are carrying those reusable bags everywhere. But again, I don't know now.
Now
It's
it's
just
back.
so, yes, so
Yeah.
much industrialization. And
Mm,
as you said, the clothes are like crazy. The landfills are completely, oh, I don't know how much land they will need to just fill the garbage.
exactly.
And yes. With
Exactly.
yes, Mataji. Thank you, anyways, for
Thank
the
you
wonderful
very much.
class, eye-opening class today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Let's
Thank
all
you,
chat
Mataji.
early, then maybe at least we can just make it back to God and take people back to God and with us, and we hold on to our seniors and people hold on to us, and let's just all make
Yes,
it back to God and because
yes, yes, yes. Yes,
Hare
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Even and Mataji for your beautiful comments. I think we can end the session for today. It's so beautiful, but they're refined in a way of realistic truth.
Mhm.
But we have to know, regardless. Yeah, so we can end the session here by doing one mantra in glorification of Her Grace Ashwariya Lila Mataji in today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo
Patita.
vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Hare Krishna.
पाद की जय हर ग्रेस ऐश्वर्य लीला माता जी की जय श्री ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हरे कृष्णा
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.